Hello and welcome back to the Moodia Club cast. It's just me today, your good host, Matthew. We're going to be talking about 80 Days today and just my experiences with the game. It was my recommendation, so I felt a little bit obligated to throw it out there, throw out my ideas and kind of put a capper on it. My backstory to this, I put out the recommendation, not many people played the game, and then after that, it kind of fell off. We're going to have another cast today about the game that came afterwards, which kind of revitalized the club. So, 80 Days. It won the Times top 15 games of 2014. It number one. It was number one on the Times best games of 2014 list. This is a big achievement, I would say. It beat out games such as Alien Isolation, Dragon Age Inquisition, Dark Souls 2, and Hearthstone. So it was a pretty big deal, and you wouldn't think this game is that big of a deal. Just by looking at the user interface, it was made for mobile. So what that means basically is that it was made for phones. It has a touch interface, and classically PC games that were made for mobile are known for not being deep, known for being laggy interface, not responsive and all that stuff. Thank goodness this game doesn't have to contend with any of that, because it's a text-based game. Pretty much. The main way you play 80 Days, it's basically kind of a choose-your-own-adventure kind of story. You're given a sequence of choices you make, and which will introduce the next thing in the sequence based on the choices you made and the items that you carry, which is really interesting. The 80 Days system, it seems kind of simple, right? You're just making multiple choices out of a given set of things, but really there's lots of different things that influence these choices, such as how well kept you are, what's your social standing. There's a lot of hidden variables in this game. There's a bunch of different things, such as like if you wear a gentleman's suit, then you're going to be in a classy thing. Yeah, you're going to be classy, you're going to be able to mix with the socialites and other things. An example of this, I've got two different examples of these clothing styles paying off for me. So one of them, I was in Europe, and I was where was I? I was in I think France, and I was in Europe, and I was in France, and I had the motorist outfit, and that allowed me, after walking the streets at night, to wander into a bar and meet with a famous race car driver, and using this race car driver, I was able to speed through most of Europe just in his race car, him showing off because he thought I was also a motorist, a racer as well. It was very exciting. Yeah, so that was something. Having the motorist gear really paid off. In the same run, I ended up trying to go over Antarctica, and unfortunately I didn't bring any cold weather gear. So as I got deeper and deeper into Antarctica, myself and my master froze to death in the Arctic. So yeah, clothes actually play a pretty big role in this game. Oh, I should have mentioned what it is. So this is 80 Days. It's about around the world in 80 days. And basically, you are Passepartout, I think his name is. Don't quote me on it. And you're with your good master and good friend. And you're going around the world to find you find a bunch of stuff. You could go all over the place. You can go to the moon and all this other craziness. But basically, you're trying to get around the world in 80 days to win a bet. It's just like the classic novel by Jules Verne, right? Yeah, and it's very interesting. Let's see. I'm gonna go through some of the things. Yeah, unexpected stories. Yeah, this game has a lot of things that's going on under the hood. could, which lead to some kind of crazy, unexpected results. A classic one, which I knew to avoid because I'd listened to a writer, the lead writer of the game, give a talk at GDC. Well, I didn't go to GDC. That's expensive, but I watched it on YouTube. But basically what she was talking about was there's a slave ship, and you can go on this slave ship, and it's extremely fast. But after you go on that slave ship, then you're kind of harangued into a slave capturing exercise, basically. So yeah, it's quite an ordeal. Yeah, and that whole thing takes a ton of time to do, right? And you're trying to make it around the world in 80 days, and yeah. It's terrible. It's terrible. So, you know, the game has a morality system. You have a social standing system. You have all these different little hidden systems, which is very cool. The really cool thing about this 80 days is the scripting language that they use, which is called Inkle, I think. It's open source, and from what I can tell, it's like super easy to learn. It's like Markdown almost, you know? It's got a similar coding style to Markdown, and there can be 100 different little triggers. Like each word, it can change single words and sentences based on variables and other choices made throughout the thing. It keeps track of a lot of things, and it was able to store a lot of variables and stuff. I don't know every sentence could be a different variable, I guess. Every selection could be a different variable. So you could theoretically use this kind of thing to make like crazy spiraling interconnected webs, right? And that's kind of what this game is, 80 Days. It's this crazy interconnected web. It checks what are you wearing? What items do you have? It checks where are you in the world? It checks all this different stuff. And then it will give you narrative prompts that you will answer. It is not completely, what are those games called? Text-based adventures almost, you know, like you write in and then it like check pocket, inventory, knock on door or whatever. You don't write it down. It cuts all the fat of those games. It gets right to the interesting decisions. Some of the decision points in the game are pretty vague. I mean, not vague, like sparse. Like, it's usually maximum of 3 decisions. But if you want to get people to make a choice and make a decision really quick and not have analysis paralysis, yeah, it's important to have that sort of 2 or 3 choices. If you're asking them to make hundreds of choices throughout the game, you can't give them too many choices and overload them for every choice. Apparently, that's what John Ingle was talking about in his designer notes interview, I think. It's been a while since I watched all these videos and stuff. This is another interesting thing that the game does, is that the NPCs have agency. Basically, a good example of this is I was in a car and a lady got into the car. It was kind of a taxi cab, but a government building had blown up in I can't remember where this country was. This game also has a lot of anti-colonialism kind of talk about it. Like the narrative is anti-colonial in a way, and it takes a while for you to understand what's going on in the world. I should describe the world, actually. The world is it's kind of steampunky. There's like a guild that only members of this guild can make machines. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Well, anyway, so I think this woman attacked a guild building. Oh no, I think she attacked a government building and got into the car and instead of calling out to the police, as a dapper gentleman might do in such a situation, I hid her away in the car, and we had a small conversation, but after she got to the stop that she wanted to get to, she left, and there was no way, like, for me to ingratiate myself in such a way that I would, like, join her cause and, like, fight the government and stuff, because she has agency, because she made a decision, like, I'm not the leader of the story, you know. I'm not the person that leads the action. The NPCs around me were leading the action, had lives, had interiority, and that was a very interesting narrative decision, and it's not used very often in video games. Often in video games, what happens is the character is the big hero guy, and if a hunter is in the woods, he's going to ask you to go hunting for him and find 10 beaver pelts or whatever, you know. It's kind of interesting how that goes. Yeah, I think what turned people off of this game is just the moment-to-moment gameplay is not like super exciting. That's not true. Moment-to-moment gameplay is not action orientated. What you're doing most of the time is reading. You're reading and then picking an action to do after reading. But there are games that do that. Like a more modern example of a game kind of like this, I would say. I haven't played it. It is on the list of things that I want to play, but it's called, oh man, now I can't remember it. He plays a amnesiac cop. Oh gosh, I'm gonna kick myself for not remembering this. Disco Elysium. That's it. It's pretty cool game, and it has much of the same thing. The only other guys that are doing similar things are the Sunless Sea, Sunless Skies kind of devs, and also Disco Elysium, which came out recently, which has over 1 million words. I guess if you really like this, you would also probably like Disco Elysium. But this is kind of cheaper, and it was like, it probably inspired Disco Elysium in some ways, you know? It's like, these guys have been in the narrative fiction game for quite a while. So yeah, highly recommended. Good times were had by all. All right, next Moodia Club is gonna be Risk of Rain 2, and we're gonna probably be recording that one today as well, so these episodes should come out pretty close to each other. All right, stay strong, comrade.